Good morning, teacher. Good morning, class. My group is confirmed by the Seaman Apprentice Goyeneche Daniel, the Seaman Apprentice Bruzon Oscar, the Seaman Apprentice Guerrero Josenel, and the Seaman Apprentice Benavides Andres. Today, we're going talking about the difference between a standard marine navigational vocabulary or SMNV and the submarine communication phrase or SMCP. Continue my partner Oscar Bruzon.
Good morning, class. Good morning, teacher. Next, sailor and say comparison between Smnv and SMCP. Brief history of maritime English. In 1973, International Maritime Organization safety communicated in the 27th merit broad or the discovery on the difficulty communication in marine and seafaring in marine and seafaring communication standard in the Calais as standard marine vocabulary as MNV. This standard is issued in 1978 and amended in 1985 in 1992. International Maritime Organization safety communicating in the 16 May, particularly in International Maritime Organization subcommunicated on safety of navigation revalidated a concept as in MNV which have been developed previously. This concept was later replaced by the new concept called Standard Marine Communication Phrases (SMCP), replacing the old SMDB in 2021. Standard Marine Navigational Vocabulary (SMNV). First, Adam is developing an Hebrew and maritime vocabulary. SMNV was adopted by International Maritime Organization in 1977.
Good morning, teacher. Good morning, class. Standard Marine Communication Phrase SMCP. In November 2001, the draft of the IMO Standard Marine Communication Phrase SMCP that had been adopted by the Maritime Safety Committee in 1997 was amended following international trials and adopted by the Assembly as Resolution A 918/22. This resolution revokes A 380, by which the Standard Marine Navigational Vocabulary was adopted in 1977. The phrases are divided into Part A and Part B. Part A covers phrases to be applied according to the requirements of Table A. Minimum competence of officers in charge of a navigational was on chief of 500 gross tons of the CTCW code and might thus be regarded as the replacement of the Standard Marine Navigational. Navigational vocabulary. 1985. This part is enriched by essential phrases concerning ship handling and safety of navigation to be used in onboard communication. Part B calls attention to other onboard standard safety-related phrases which, supplementary to Part A, might also be regarded as useful for maritime English instruction, as in the case of the previous standards. The subcommittee has also used a note of caution to the effect that Smcp is not intended to supplant or contradict the international regulation for preventing collision at sea 1972. Special local rules or recommendations may be the IMO concerning ships routing the International Code of Signals, nor to supplant normal radiotelephone practice as set out in the regulation. The degree of caution is perhaps not as necessary as it might seem, seeing neither is Smnv nor Smcp are in contradiction with the conventions and regulations. On the contrary, they are both compatible and complementary. Knowledge, understand, understanding, and the competence to use the SMCP as required for officers in charge of navigational watch on vessels of 500 gross tons or more. No direct reference, however, is made to 1995 CTCW code which has been adopted in the meantime, so it can be stated that language standards set out in SMCP also meet the latest communication requirements of the CTCW Convention. Finally, it should be noted that the SMCP have been recommended, if not imposed, to become part of obligatory instruction in maritime education and training. SMCP were adopted by IMO in 2001 as a Resolution A 918/22. This was designed to standardize communication in key maritime areas including health, safe routing, operation and emergencies, assist in the greater safety of navigation and of the conduct of the ship. To standards the language used in communication for navigation at sea, in port, approach, in waterways, harbors, and onboard vessels, with multilingual crew. SMCP does not create a common communicative language for everyday interactions between multilingual crew, marking friendships, team bonding, and mutual understanding difficult. In addition, it is firmly stated in the introduction that the SMCP meets SOLAS Convention 1974 as revised regarding verbal communication, the requirement CTCW Convention 1978 as revised in particular as an acceptable safety language. These standards are recommended to be used as far as possible in preference to other wording of similar meaning. Thank you.
Okay, partner, I'm going to tell you about the comparison structure from the Smnv and the Smcp. The Smnv was adopted in 1977 and the Smcp was adopted in 2001. In the structure, the content, the both have the introduction. In the general part, in the content, contains the procedures, is in about a standard verb, is in about two, response, distress, urgency, and safety message is in the both, miscellaneous phrase, repetition, position, course, bearing, distance, number, speed, geographical names, themes. The difference in the general content in the structure is the spelling, standard organizational phrase, corrections, readings, and ambiguous word. So this part is in the Smcp, but in the Smnv is not. The glossary is in about. Okay. The language used to communicate in all maritime situations can be on board, the ship to ship, or the ship to shore. On board is among the crew, is in the ship. The ship to ship is between two ships. The ship to shore is the ship to a coast. There are two communication. Can be external or internal communication. I'm going to talking about the external communication. The SMNB phrase vocabulary for external communication. This one is the SMNB. In the chapter A is division in the chapter A, chapter B, and chapter C. The chapter A is the danger to navigation, warning, and assistance, and talk about the warning and assistance situation. In the chapter B is a general part, talk about the anshoring, arrival, berthing, and deport, course, draw, and hydrout, fairway navigation, canal and unlock operation, manboring, pilotage, position, radar, the ship to ship, ship to shore, or shore to ship. Talk about the navigational warning, routing, speed, Thai and deep, tropical storm, dogs, waypoint, reporting points, and the weather. In the chapter C is the special chapter. Talk about the fishing, helicopters, and icebreakers. For another part, the Smcp is conformed but to part A and part B. In the part A, talk about the external communication phrase. Is conformed by the section A1, and there are distress communication, urgency traffic, safety communication, pilotage, special and vessel traffic service, or BTS standard phrase. And distress communication talk about the distress traffic, search and resort communication, and requesting medical assistance. In the urgency traffic, talk about the technical failure, cargo, and ice damage. In the safety communication, talk about the meteorological and hydrological condition, navigational warning involving, and the environmental protection. In the pilotage, talk about the pilot request, embarking and disembarking pilot, and tug request. Special, talk about the helicopter operation, iceberg operation. And the BTS standard phrase, talk about the phrasing for acquiring and providing data for traffic image. Phrase for providing BTS service, handing over to another BTS. Phrase for communication with an emergency service.
Good morning, teacher. Good morning, class. I am going to present the phrase and examples of the vocabulary used on board by the Smcp. Onboard communication. Smnv. Phrase vocabulary for onboard communication. 1. Standard wheels orders. 2. Standard engine orders. 3. Pilotage. 4. Maneuvering. 5. Propulsion system. 6. Anchoring. 7. Berthing, unberthing. 8. Radar. 9. Tax. 10. Draw on the air draw. SNCP Part 1. Onboard communication phrase. 821. Standard wheels order. 822. Standard engine order. 823. Pilot on the bridge. Propulsion system. Maneuvering. Radar. Draft and the air draft. Anchoring. Going to anchor. Leaving an anchor. Tug assistance. Berthing on unberthing. SNCP Part B. Onboard communication phrase. B1. B11. Operative ship landing. Handing over the watch. Train slits and stability. B12. Safety on board. General activities. Occupational safety. Fire protection and fire fighting. Damage control. Grounding. Search and rescue on board activities. B13. Cargo and cargo handling. Cargo handling, cargo care. B14. Passenger care. Briefing and instruction. Evacuation on board drill. attending to passengers in an emergency,
And next, Sailor Maritime Bruson Oscar examples of SMCP. A user of SMCP would not save can enter fairway. The wolf they instead made it, showed it, called it, and summoned, read it. They would say, question, do have permission to enter the fairway? Question, and a measured maker and makes the purpose of the communication clear right from the start. Then centers that follow will be of question and will require an answer, such as answer, answer. For example, you have permission to enter the fairway.
The list of possible markers includes instruction, advice, warning, information, question, answer, request, and intention. Example: instruction: do not increase speed. Note: instructions are binding and must be followed as far as possible. Authorities, such as a naval vessel or BTA station, may give instructions. Advice: stand by on VHF channel 16. Note: advice is not binding; the receiver can decide whether to follow the advice or not. Warning: obstruction in the fairway. Used to inform others of danger. Information: my present depth is 12 on 2 meters. Used to inform others of other facts. Question: do you require a pilot? Used to indicate questions. Answer: yes, I require a pilot. Used to indicate answers. Request: I require two assistants. Used to ask for action from others. Intention: I will reduce my speed. Used to inform others of immediate navigational action. Thank you.
Another example for the SNP. You can say pam 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 is the same when you say all station, all station, all station. For example, this is my MB Garland, Golf for Foxtrot, Charlie Charlie. You can reduce an MB Garland, Golf Foxtrot, Charlie Charlie. In the SMCP, the message pattern can be or the routine or the special purpose. For example, the message type is distress, urgence, and safe when is the special support. And when is the routine is intrusion, advice, warning, information, question, answer, and request, intention. And that you can say the Mayday is a special purpose. For example, I am in danger of capsizing. when it's necessary when it's necessary to indicate the IMO SMCP are to be used, the following message may be sent. Please use IMO standard marine communication phrase, or I will use IMO standard marine communication phrase.
Results. In many cases, standardized communication had to be replaced by free language, i.e. sentence structures adapted to the situation and the time concerned. The reason for such deviation regarding the application of NCCP are predominantly explained by the sheer lack of knowledge about the proper usage of both SNCP and Smnv. It has to be stated emphatically here that insufficient linguistic and or professional qualification is not necessarily any longer a characteristic of sheet under certain flags, but rather trackable to the substandard competence of communication partners on board. All the more is indeed necessary to intensify efforts to make SNCP usage part of nautical education. Thank you, teacher.